GM, GM. Give me just a second, guys. Getting everything set up here. If y'all would like to join as a speaker, feel free to hit that request button. I will bring you guys up here in just a bit. Rooster, what's going on, man? Well, shoot, I thought that you were up here as a speaker. You were not. No, it's not a big deal. We'll get some of you guys up here in just a second as we get going with this. I need to send a tweet out here in just a second.
Yo, what up, what up?
So, yeah.
I had a great day at the mountain. So having a chill night.
Love to hear it, man. Love to hear it. I just got back from a little late golf sesh myself. Yeah, I love it. We my community group, like through my church, we do these, hangout things instead of just doing the Bible study every single week. We switch it up every here and there. And what we basically decided on is that like our thing is golf. Whenever we have a free night, we're doing it. We just go out there and golf, and it is amazing. So, um, but it's not as fun as like, you've got me beat as far as the, going to a mountain though. I mean, the mountain beats that out all day, every day. So,
Yeah, I went to one I haven't been to yet out here. I went to Copper Mountain today.
really, you've
I
never been to
really
Copper
enjoyed it.
before?
Nah, not to board. Yeah, no, I haven't been to Copper before. So I was shredding out there,
Dude,
bro. I was zooming.
Copper was my very first mountain to ever ski, believe it or not. So I'm a big fan of Copper. It has a special place in my heart.
Bro, I don't know if they had these when you went up there, but they have like the first time I ever seen it. I've been in gondolas since, that's got one at my home mountain, but they had like a wind shield on one of the lifts, and you could just like pull it down in front of you, kind of like the bar. And then this dude that was riding up with us was like, "Y'all want to smoke a joint?" And so we just hotboxed the lift like the whole way up. Shit was awesome.
Wait, a windshield? So, you're not talking about like a boxed in gondola. You're talking about just like a normal
A chair
lift
lift
with.
with like literally like a visor, like an enclosed like visor that like comes down over it.
No, I don't think they did have that back whenever I went. So, it's been a while since I've been up there. Need to get back up and do it ASAP. But no, man, they things were not that fancy for me. I don't know if you remember though, man. Like whenever I tell my story about learning how to ski, that is the one I'm talking about though, as far as going up on that mountain, right? Like, and after going up on that mountain and climbing, whenever there's a massive green right there at the very beginning. And like that green's so casual, it's chill, nothing too crazy. But it was my first time ever on the mountain. And like that's where my friends abandoned me. And that's where I learned how to ski by basically just, falling out of it. So like when I tell that story, that is the place that I'm talking about.
Nah, it was great. I loved it out there. I might go up again tomorrow. We'll see.
Oh, so you're just making day trips out for each one of these.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like an hour and a half drive up there. Like, it's not it's not the best, but it's not terrible. It's doable.
Love to hear it, man. Okay, well, we got King Wabi back up with us on stage. King Wabi, how is it going tonight, sir?
Let me tell you something, Khalil. Let me tell you something. I'm feeling like the cream of the crop. You want to know why that is, sir?
Let's hear it.
Well, I found this interesting thing on KuCoin a couple of weeks back, and I was mentioning it on my spaces. If anyone has any issues navigating the NFT space, KuCoin actually has this thing called NFT ETFs, and it basically denominates the NFT on a USDT pair. but not to the exact ETH denominational. And they got listed late last year, and I managed to be in a few positions, and mainly the blue chips. And Khalil, some of these things are like up 10x, dude. Like the Bored Ape ones, they're up pretty much 10x. And I also have the Pudgy Penguins ones, although I do have some Pudgy Penguins. And I also have some like Sappy Seals and some Wonkies as well. Wink, wink. I wanted to play around with it because like there's just no way I'm spending like like over 50 grand for like an NFT. I'm never doing that. And it's just mind boggling, dude. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I think individuals that are mainly into like DeFi or like to do derivatives trading, there's always some sector in this asset class that's going to provide opportunity. And um, even with these AI tokens, man, some of them are up 20x. Like Khalil, if you remember AGIX from 2017, the guy with the crazy curly hair, and he was on Joe Rogan and everything. And I mean, it's good, man. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling absolutely hyped. And yeah, dude. Thank God for another day. Thank God for another day. And happy to see that you appeared up on the little spaces thing up on my timeline, and saw you just opened up a space. And I'm like, yeah, let me just go here and talk some shop with the guys. Just gotta wait for the BTC chart guy and the PP profile from Pudgy Penguins, the community manager guy, and also your boy. He's like I forgot his profile name, but it's like C80 or 80 host, something like
80s
that.
baby dot eth. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta wait for him. And then the Croc Father or the Stonk Father, whatever he goes by now. And yeah, dude, I mean, it feels great to be back in a bull market. To be honest, dude, like I'll always be grateful for that, man. 2022 was quite a shitstorm, man. So yeah, man. How about yourself? How are you doing, brother?
Doing well. That is interesting though. So, are you talking about on KuCoin? They've got like the for their quote
Yeah,
unquote NFT ETFs. They've got things like the high penguins or the high
yeah.
squiggle, like, and that type of stuff.
Yep,
Dude, I'm telling you,
yep,
it's
yep.
interesting. Like, I am looking at those, and yeah, like that's the type
Yep.
of stuff that I'm talking about. As far as I
Yep.
haven't looked into what exactly compromises those. I mean, they may be something similar to what.
It's like a call option, I think. I think it's like something like akin to a call option, in my opinion.
Well, okay, so I'm
It
looking
has
at it.
to
For
be.
instance, Chromie Squiggle. Chromie Squiggle High Squiggle is an ERC20 token representing 1/1 millionth ownership of one squiggle in the MetaSwap pool of Fraction Protocol. For each squiggle added to the pool, the total supply of High Squiggle will increase by 1 million. In contrast, for each squiggle redeemed from the pool, the total supply of the High Squiggle will decrease by 1 million. So it looks like, in a sense, it's just a centralized fractional play on some of these different NFTs. So the only thing that I'm looking at here, like, I can't tell whether or not do they have futures available for it. I mean, either way,
I would not touch futures,
no, I
Khalil. I
wouldn't
would
either.
not. You
I'm
get
just looking and
yeah,
seeing
yeah.
how far out they built each one of these because you can tell spot is barely like the liquidity on it. I mean, actually, it's got a little bit more volume than I thought it would. But nah, I mean, it's still not much. Now that I'm looking at, I mean, so it's light on volume, but it does show. I think that this is a step, right? When we're talking about steps, there are different exchanges that are working on ways to bring this type of price action for traders for NFTs. And like this is a perfect example. I didn't even know that they had this. So it's, kind of cool, even though it seems like it's pretty early with it. Pretty cool development. I hadn't seen that at all. Um,
Yeah, it's it was quite fascinating to see it. Just lately, over the last 2 months, I've been, doing more deep diving into these Web3 slash NFT spaces, and it was mainly following this one guy, Wob. How I found out about like,
Wobfather?
some yeah, no, Wob.eth. His name's
Yeah, yeah,
Wob.eth.
Wob.eth, like Seffi Seals
Yeah.
Wob.
Yeah. And I'm trying to get into contact with him, dude. 'Cause I do work for a fund, and like I'm trying to get in contact with him to like kind of get him one on one and see if you can help fund what he's trying to do with Pixelverse. But I'm not sure how I would go about that because he's pretty much like terminally on Twitter Spaces. So him actually, yeah, and it's kind of tough, dude, because I'm sure he gets like a ton of like DMs and all that stuff, but I am looking to like fund individuals like him that are just part of the community and always like giving back and trying to do multiple projects at once. And being an entrepreneur, like how it's like trying to build something from the ground up. You know what I mean? It's a lot of work. So yeah, man, good to be here. How are you doing, Rooster? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, doing well, sir. How you doing?
Euphoric. Euphoric, like absolutely euphoric, dude. And like when I woke up to the psyops today, like first I missed a space. I was supposed to go on Crypto Banter, and I missed that due to some like time zone differences. And then like when I saw how like my entire timeline was like, oh gosh, what's Jerome Powell gonna say? What's Jerome Powell gonna say? And like I'm like, man, this is just a psyops, dude. Let me fucking long. so so I just longed I longed this one token INJ, and like it pumped from like a little under $4 to like $4.30. So like I didn't even go that heavy on leverage. It was just like the 2x. So that was all right, man. Um, and Powell was like, "Oh, this time is different," and people fell for the psyop. You know what I'm saying? It's just hilarious, man. Same thing that happened in December, right? Uh, Kaylee, I'm not sure if I told you this story, but I had actually found that you're actually able to email the Federal Reserve. So I I told a friend of mine to make a bot to just send in a ton of emails to the Federal Reserve saying if they can ask Chairman Powell what does he do to start off his day and what does he eat for breakfast. And if you go to that footage from that random meeting in early December, that's exactly what they ask him. And he laughed, and me and my boys were just like dying laughing. So um, life has been pretty entertaining over the last few months after like, you know, those 2 months of hell last year in May and June.
Oh, definitely, man. I love to hear it. I love people coming on stage and just having a general sense of euphoria, though, in general. Like that's the type of energy that feeds me to keep going with this type of stuff. So definitely appreciate your commentary with that, man. Again, I appreciate you also showing me that thing too. I am very, very interested with every single vehicle that is being developed by centralized exchanges for mediums of trade for NFTs because I've said it a million times, but I really do believe that's going to be the vehicle for onboarding a bunch of the CT masses to the NFT spot game, right? Because there are a lot of people that just are too lazy to actually do anything on chain, and they claim that they don't understand how NFTs work, yet they do all this trading with the underlying assets that the NFTs are built on for the actual price action for those assets. But then you start to realize, okay, these people aren't so interested necessarily with the tech as they are with just the speculation side of it. So if you start to add more vehicles for people to speculate, more liquidity for these different NFTs, then you're starting to add more interest to the overall spot market as well. And I think it's just part of the general market maturing. It's something that we're going to see rapidly progress over the next couple of years because there's just so much opportunity for these centralized exchanges to capitalize on the momentum of what's happening in the NFT marketplace, because NFTs really are the viral aspect of right now of Web3, of what's happening. Like, they are the thing that I think is really, the first mainstream application, killer DApp that we've seen. So, I love to see people trying to be creative with this type of stuff. Like, I just looked at it though. Like, for instance, the squiggles contract, like, they're, it's supposed to represent one millionth of a squiggle. So I like back calculated it. There's a little bit of a premium trading on each one of these right now. So, like, I think it back calculated to about 17 ETH. And squiggles right now are about 14 ETH. So you're trading with a little bit of a premium, but that happens a lot of the time with these different fractionalized type vehicles and other assets as well. So,
Yeah, dude. Yep. I got pretty pumped, and um back when we were having a space a couple of weeks ago, I had mentioned to you, like, man, this is pretty much like 2017 all over again with some of these NFTs, and things like Milady's and like Pudgy Penguins, they were up over 100% against Ethereum, and people are just they're just trading Bitcoin again, and it reminds me a lot of 2019 where, like, people are just like, oh, like, fuck alts, right? I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna trade Bitcoin, right? And I think that people are becoming complacent, and they're not making the effort to seeing that there are other sides of this asset class. Like in DeFi summer, even though to us it was DeFi summer, right? Like, the majority of people were just trading Bitcoin and Link for the most part, and that's why, like, some of these DeFi tokens, right, um, ran up like 20, 30x, and even the speculative alts, like Ren, Republic Protocol, they ran up like a ton, and all they were was some token to be used as a bridge, and like the bridge isn't even fully there because Polkadot, to my knowledge, still hasn't even rolled out their entire ecosystem. So you
Rend to
even have the
10, baby, Rend to
speculation.
10.
Yeah,
I'll remember that one
dude,
forever,
dude,
man.
dude.
Like, yes. There's so many
Yeah, man.
meme sayings like that from those
Yeah,
shit coins back in the day. Um,
yeah, dude.
but hey, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to a couple of our other speakers real quick. So Poopity was the next person that came up here on stage. Poopity, don't think that I've had you up here before, bro. I love it whenever I've got people with random stupid names like that. And when I say stupid, you know what I mean. Like, a name that you're never going to call somebody outside of a Twitter space. So, stupid, genius, whatever it is, left side of the bell curve, right side of the bell curve. It's both. And I love it, man. So, I really hope that your energy matches the name. You do have in your description number one co host, FU with the middle finger. Let's see what that's actually made of. Welcome up to the stage. How are you doing tonight, Poopity?
What up, buddy? Happy Tuesday, Titty Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, man. Shit, been over here like partying it up with the fucking food and shit, man. Always got the vibes. We're trying to see what the fuck is going on, man. Like, that's the thing. People count NFT motherfuckers out right now, and like right now the liquidity is literally being sucked out of the NFT market because we're fucking going into the coin market. There's a lot of coins fucking mooning. If you really want to know, go and look at the AI coins, either long them or short them, whatever the fuck you want to do, you guys. But we got movement. We got fucking money flowing, you guys. This is what's about. We are about the fucking money.
Yo, Poopity, I'm not gonna lie, man. Rarely in my life have I met somebody up on stage where I feel like both their name, their PFP, and their voice worked so harmoniously together as yours did. Like, if I were to guess the energy that you were going to bring to the table right there. Like the voice matched the PFP and the name to the T. Have you ever gotten that
Yeah,
before?
man, we're just trying to make fucking money out here, man. You know, that's the whole. We're gonna fud shit. We're gonna like moon shit. We're gonna like do all kinds of stuff out here, man. People don't even know what we're gonna do.
It sounds like you don't know what we're going to do either, but I love it. Um, Dr. Solana, welcome up to the stage, man. How's it going? Welcome back. How are you tonight?
Yo, what's going on, my brother? Doing well, just vibing in on your spaces. I enjoy the late night spaces here on the East Coast and always supporting Wonky Stonks. They're inevitable, as we're talking about, and onboarding one new person every day. So, doing my part. It's not much, but it's honest work.
Yo, I mean, if you can actually onboard one new person every single day to a project, like legitimately, it only takes a few people doing that, and throughout the course of a year, turned something into, I don't know, into a movement, right? Like it doesn't take very long before that happens. So, people joke about that. It's kind of like the 1% returns thing. As much as the 1% a day returns is a complete meme, because who is going to consistently be able to just nail that 1% trade every single day without any losses in between? But, it's a concept, though, that shows you that, like, by doing something that seems so little, that you can have big results that end up coming out of it if you actually apply that. So I love
Yeah,
it, man.
100%.
Anybody up here watching the Lakers Thunder game right now? Watching Braun try to get the scoring title?
Do we want to watch losers, bro?
You would want to watch losers. I mean, I guess, yeah, like we're talking about it. Both those teams do have losing records. So hey, but I mean, he needs 4 more points. 4 more points to break the record, which is pretty crazy. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I'm a big basketball fan, so I appreciate seeing this type of stuff. Yeah, and like I think it's one of those things too. When you've witnessed greatness for so long, you don't mind continuing to see that greatness play out. Like, at this point, it's one of those things. It's going to happen, right? So being able to actually witness it happen is pretty cool, because it's going to take a long time, even with the way people are scoring right now in the NBA, for anybody to be able to break that record.
Kelly, Kelly, I do have a question, man. How do you
R.I.P.
think
Kobe.
how do you think these these listing processes go for these NFTs, man? I am aware that there is a derivatives exchange where you can long and short NFTs, but the thing is like if you have even one person list uh like a profile picture on say like OpenSea or whatever, and they list it below like the floor price that you're longing, you get liquidated just from one person. And it doesn't even have to be a whale. So NFT derivatives are like very gnarly, but I am interested in how these things get listed, right? Because they pull back just like options do, right? Like if there's like a 5% market wide pullback, there's usually 30-40% corrections on these things. And I remember doubling down when the Bored Apes one pulled back by like 40%. And, now it's up over 200%. Like, that reminds me a lot of things like options as far as the volatility aspect goes, because when we look at the Bored Ape uh, price floor, it did not do a 200% in UST denomination relative to its ETH pair, right? Hey, we're talking a collection that has a floor price of like multiple tens and tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, Wabi, I'm going to cut you off real quick. So, from my brief look at the KuCoin contracts that you're talking about right now, from the looks of it, I would almost compare it to a GBTC type of vehicle, right? Where GBTC has X amount of Bitcoin, that each share represents. And occasionally, it trades at a premium or it trades at a discount, just depending on the flow of the market and how everything's going with that. Like there are management fees in that process that are taken out of it, that are extracted from, whatever the value of that token is. So I think that's one of the things that's potentially incorporated there with those. But I mean, one thing in general that you're going to get with these type of markets as they're developing, and it's the same thing with a lot of the shitcoin markets that you see, saw/see, especially whenever, perps came out across the board, you would see the ridiculous candles pop up because a lot of them were easily manipulated and it didn't take much to really be able to move them. Whenever you've got such thin books and lower market cap projects and tokens, it's easy to move that type of shit. So I think that type of volatility is just natural, especially in a developing market. So, there's some opportunity there, but you're capped as far as how much you're really actually able to extract from that. So you can do it with smaller increments on those type of vehicles, but you're not going to be able to trade those type of assets that you're looking at with large size. My bad. I actually muted everybody. Good.
I think I just got lucky in that retrospect. I stopped paying attention to like macro stuff after FTX got shut down and Sam Bankman-Fried was on Spaces. He was literally on Spaces while he was playing World of Warcraft.
Wait, James just did it. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Keep going.
Oh yeah. Like I just said, fuck it, dude. Like it's just time to punt a few things, man. And after I think there was like some stupid ass Fed meeting in the middle of January, and then like Bitcoin closed a week with another double digit green candle, and I'm like, fuck this, dude. I'm just gonna ape. So I bought Canto. I didn't bridge though. I'm too much of a pussy right now to do that right now, but I got Canto at 20 cents, and I'm just gonna hold that shit for 2 years. I'm tired as fuck trying to like looking at old men for signal. Like, dude, Jerome Powell doesn't have to do shit, and like the market will continue to be irrational. And let's fucking squeeze these bears. To be honest, man, like I don't know why would you would be bearish on crypto after such a horrible year, man. It was so bad, man. Like it was Terra, and then like BlockFi and Voyager. Like,
Celsius
geez,
3AC,
yeah,
bro. You can go down the
yo,
list. It was
gosh, man.
2022 was absolute carnage. Like I'm thinking back to it. 2018, I remember thinking 2018 was rough. 2018 was rough because 2018 was just boring. Like you really didn't have too many, major catastrophic black swan type events that happened. It was just super, super boring. I mean, yeah, you had the massive crash there at the end of the year. And, you had, I think, some China FUD in the mix, but, it was nothing else insane outside of that, right? Like, so looking at everything that happened this year, yeah, man, it was on a completely different level than anything that I had witnessed before. I know that people back in the cycle before can talk about things like Mount Gox. Like obviously there was a certain point of the cycle where Cryptopia had a massive hack. And Cryptopia, I know some people that lost some on that, but like even with Cryptopia, nobody was out there degenning their entire portfolio on Cryptopia. People were just out there, and like, dude, honestly, Cryptopia was kind of like a DEX before DEXs were really a thing. It wasn't a DEX, right? But like the type of shit coins that you could access on there, nobody else would list them. They were only the type of tokens that would actually have popularity on things like PancakeSwap and Uniswap later on down the road. I mean, you could literally buy things like gay token and fuck token and go down the list of the different things. I mean, heck, I remember being conned into thinking that things like Mothership was going to be a big deal. I remember Mothership launching on there.
Oh gosh,
and
man. That takes me
like
back.
everybody got wrecked on Mothership, bro.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, but
do you remember Chain? It was like one of the
yeah, man.
it was one of the most hyped ICOs, and I mean, it did great off the bat, and I did like a 4x on that. But the thing is like the top of Chain was literally when that Dustin guy announced that he was gonna leave to do like a security tokens exchange, and then like when I saw Andre leave Phantom, I was like, oh gosh, what does this remind me of? You know what I mean? And like my whole thesis was like, all right, 2022 is going to be exactly like 2018, right? Breakdown at the start of the year, spring rally, then just mega dump from late spring into the early summer rally, a destruction of volatility, and then a breakdown at the end of the year. But I did not fucking expect stable coins to go to zero. I did not expect two top 10 cryptos to one of them go to zero and the other one like lose 98% of its value. I did not expect pretty much every single like fintech app where you can do these little borrowing lending things to go down. So it was like you even had Tether depegged by like 15%. So just hiding, there was really almost nowhere safe to hide for a while. Because you even got that Silvergate slash USDC FUD. And I tried so hard to try to make a grasp of what was going on. And I just quit, dude. I'm just like, fuck it, dude. I'm just gonna, pray and hope that like USDC doesn't go to zero or that Bitcoin doesn't go to zero. And the fact that I was feeling like that, like I wrote it down on one of my tweets, just like writing a little journal, and also on an actual journal saying my thoughts. And I for the first time was actually like, am I fucking freaking out? Am I flooding myself out? And yeah, dude, sometimes it's gonna be like,
Oh, oops, my bad, man.
it's okay, it's okay. I was just gonna say sometimes it's just gonna be like the fucking COVID crash. So, um, you
Yeah,
just
you
gotta
never
hate
know, man. You
sometimes.
never know with a bunch of that time. Like a lot of the, dude. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here right now, and I'm looking at this. I know LeBron breaking the scoring record was a huge deal, right? Like monumental, big thing, but they're making production of it in the middle of the game. Like the third quarter, they still have a quarter left to play, and they've got the entire court full of press, full of people that are storming it, talking to him. He's literally talking to the crowd right now, with a mic. He's up there talking about what it means, taking pictures with everybody. Kareem's up there, Adam Silver is. And as much as I respect that, like I think there's a time and a place. You've got to respect the team that you're playing. Go on with the normal cadence of the game and celebrate all that after the game is over, right? Like, I'm sorry, this is completely off topic here, but it's kind of frustrating. It's one of those things. I mean, I get it. I get what's happening here, but again, they're making just an entire production in the middle of a game that's like not finished yet. And yeah, anyway, that's my rant.
Yeah, there's something about
That's
something
cloud
to be said
chasing
about
for you,
like
bro.
celebrating too early, right? I've seen like so many times where people celebrated early. It looked like they were going to be like the clear cut winner, and then boom, they lose, right? So like, yeah, you're saying there's still so much of this game left. Save the celebration for later, right?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I want to watch the rest of this game now just to see the Lakers lose. Right? Like, I really want them to lose
Much love, fam.
after this.
Manifesting that.
Yeah, man, manifesting that. So I'm curious, anybody up on stage, have you guys been keeping up with the Ordinals BTC NFT drama?
Oh yeah, it's been interesting. Like I've been kind of like trying to stay on top of it. Like I do a Twitter space called Wascast on my alt, Mr. E. And it's kind of funny because like we did a space about the ordinals and all that. So like I feel like I have kind of an understanding of it. Like if too long didn't read sort of thing, it seems like every Bitcoin has sats and each sat is mined in a certain order and they have a sequential number assigned to them thanks to Taproot, it sounds like. And then you can inscribe like images and things like that onto the ordinals. And actually it sounds like somebody inscribed the entire game Doom onto onto it. so you can actually play Doom on Bitcoin, which is insane. Uh, and then there's the Taproot Wizards with Udi Wertheimer. They seem to be the only legitimate project I've seen so far. Like there's been a bunch of scammy looking ones, but that one seems pretty funny. And if you go to taprootwizards.com, it's just a link to their Discord, and then you can get in there. Like they got a pretty funny vibe. There's a lot of guys in there like Lord Bogdanov and those guys. So like, yeah, it's pretty fun vibe so far. But it sounds crazy because I guess like in order to actually get one of the NFTs, you have to run an entire Bitcoin node. So I'm kind of learning on how to do that now, which is funny because I never would have thought of running a node, but now this NFTs on Bitcoin is kind of like re-inspired me to get involved, right? So I think that maybe could be a good thing for Bitcoin. What do you guys think?
Is that built on Taro, dude? Um, I know Lightning tried passing that and it went through, but to my knowledge, I think they're like in testnet. I'm not sure if those markets are live now, but it's kind of funny that you mentioned some of those names because I recall hosting a space um, over the holiday season last year, and a lot of those guys were just saying, "Oh no, NFTs and DeFi that would kill Bitcoin. That would like destroy the nation state. Something Bitcoin is like a monetary store of value. It's a global hedge liquidity index or whatever the shit they were calling it." And now, you have these profiles getting like 800, 900 people on their spaces just from having Bitcoin ordinals and what's the other one, dude? Inscriptions. And it's these Bitcoiners that you've never heard of, but like, they've always been for DeFi, but only if it's on Bitcoin. And let me tell you something, dude. Like, community is everything when it comes to this ecosystem, especially NFTs. And those people have the personality of a fucking goldfish. And I don't think it's going anywhere, to be honest.
Well, bro, but the thing is, listening to a bunch of like, I was listening to for a couple of hours to one of these spaces earlier, and it was just ridiculous the hearing the reasoning behind like the pure Bitcoin maxis that are against these for why they think that anybody that is involved with them are just scammers and they're pure evil. And one of the guys made the eventually he came to this conclusion. He said, "You know what? It is a free market, right? Like it is open, permissionless blockchain, right? Like, people are free to transact however they want to transact, but everything that's an NFT is a scam, and it is just introducing more scams to Bitcoin, and it's tainting the blockchain by doing that, and it's making it more expensive for people that want to do what it's actually intended for." And here's my whole thing with that. It's, like, I guess here's the other thing is like, and you're buying something that doesn't exist. Like, whenever you're saying an NFT, bro, that is literally the Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger type argument against Bitcoin is that people that are Bitcoin, that hold Bitcoin are buying something that doesn't exist, right? They're buying a coin that doesn't exist. There's nothing, quote unquote, backing it. And, like, so for somebody to go and then translate that argument now toward NFTs and say, hey, this NFT doesn't exist, like, it is the worst argument, the most self defeating argument that I think any Bitcoin maximalist could potentially use, but they're going out there and using it anyway. I think it's just absolutely hypocritical. But, here's my thing. Overall, it really does make me more bullish on Bitcoin than I have been in a very long time, because it's been a long time since there's been a narrative that I feel like has brought a lot of new attention to Bitcoin that we haven't seen in a while. And yeah, like this is the first thing that I can really think of in a long time that's just new, exciting, brought some drama to the space. And at the end of the day, a little bit of drama is good.
Yeah. Yeah, it brings in liquidity, and I feel you on that, dude. It reminds me. I mean, I wasn't even alive at the time, but it's kind of like being an early tech investor, right? In the 80s when the Nasdaq was like barely at 200, and some old geezer is saying, "Listen here, son. you need to invest in the Dow Jones Industrial Index. Don't go ahead and try to speculate and gamble on that internet technology stuff. And like they pretty much fudded you out from like a 25x. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of feel that these Bitcoiners, right, the individuals that think they're onboarding more people into the industry, I think that's how they are. They're turning into the gold bugs of the space, and with the slightest hint of some drama, you'll have these Bitcoiners pop up a space, invite a bunch of boring macro old geezers to talk about how like the S&P is going to 1800 and Bitcoin's going below 1000 because something in grayscale, you know what I'm saying? And I still think even if people haven't positioned themselves in this market, I still think it's somewhat early within this cycle. Um, but I mean, in my opinion, you only have like 14 months because of the halving, and once that gets rolling, I mean, I think anyone who starts buying around here, as far as like some sectors, right, like the NFT sector, they're gonna be up. I think like easily 500 plus percent. You know what I'm saying? So
That's really interesting too, and how
yeah,
you
man.
guys talk about like the maxis. Yeah, because it seems like the culture seems to be completely split between like the pro NFT Bitcoiners and then the anti NFT Bitcoiners, and it's funny because I have some friends that are actually like they used to be maxis, and I guess like even Udi used to be like a big maxi is what it sounds like, and I respect people that like used to be maxi and then they opened up their mind and like explored the tech a little more because I have a friend who's like said he got into Bitcoin because he really respected the tech and all that. But then when he started like, when the groups of people that were like, hey, can we put pictures on the blockchain? Can we do this digital trading card thing that Satoshi was talking about in that post like a while back? Then they suddenly were like, no, 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 we can't do that. Right. So like now you've got the maxis that are like opening their minds up and they're really embracing this like this taproot whatever you want to call it, inscription with situation. So like I think that's really really cool that, and I respect anybody who can admit, okay, I was wrong, like there is a use for this, right? And some of those guys are pretty funny because they're just like looking back, they're like, the way I wanted Bitcoin was just to do nothing. I didn't want to trade it. I just wanted to sit there and collect value, right? But where's the fun in that? So now at least like it sounds like people are having fun again with Bitcoin, right? And so yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
Yes, dude, that's the thing. Like people are having fun again. But on top of that, I'm telling you, man, even just this fun narrative that the maxis are having with the people that are having fun and that are actually exploring the new use cases that are being developed, um, there is now the whisper of, ooh, will there have to be a potential fork that happens down the road? And as much as I don't think it is realistic that actually happens from this issue, I do think that the contention behind it might actually, again, there is just going back to the previous forks that we've had, forks have actually been an incredibly bullish thing for Bitcoin price action. Do I think that it's going to result in that? No, I still don't. But I'm telling you, just like the overall speculation and the interest derived around that is something to keep an eye out for. And it's still incredibly early because so far they've only had a little over 10,000 inscriptions. And if you're looking at the overall NFT ecosystem on ETH and even a lot of these other shitcoins that are out there, that's barely anything, right? So as far as where this is actually going to go, nobody really knows right now. So it really is exciting. It's kind of the Wild West. As far as why I've always been bullish on ETH NFTs, I've talked about it before. You go to where the security is, where the prestige is. ETH has always been, my opinion, the most secure, most prestigious blockchain to be able to host any type of NFT on. And, the only thing that would potentially outdo that is Bitcoin. Now, there are a few more limitations, I think, the actual applications that you can do with those NFTs, with BTC versus with ETH potentially. But, that doesn't mean, if you're looking purely from the historical and the art collecting and that type of a perspective, I, you know, it's up there with the best, right? As far as places to do it. So it's super exciting, I think, both for Bitcoin, and also for the NFT marketplace as a whole, right? It's bringing back some excitement to the game, and all this excitement and all this energy and all this conversation rotates back into other places, the market eventually. It all ends up feeding into each other.
Oh, absolutely. And I think some cool things too that we're starting to see is, yeah, like you were saying, it was kind of like, ETH was kind of like the standard for like hosting NFTs or whatever, right? There was that prestige, right? And if you look at how NFTs are kind of like, I guess, hosted, you could say, on ETH, like there's either the ones that like point to IPFS that are like externally hosted, but then there's also like the ones that are hosted on storage contracts via SVG images that store all the metadata and all that. So those are like truly on the blockchain. But then it's kind of interesting to think that maybe now even ETH NFTs could potentially be stored on Bitcoin, right? Maybe somebody could like inscribe a collection and have their Ethereum token point to that on Bitcoin somehow. And now you have a whole other use case for Bitcoin instead of people needing IPFS. And, it might be a little too expensive right now at the beginning, but maybe that's something that scales as we start to see like marketplaces and things like that open up and it become a little more user friendly.
No, it's an interesting concept, man. But I'm all for it, And again, another thing too, like looking at all this for Bitcoin and for like everybody, there's always been the question of what happens as the block reward continues to diminish to incentivize miners to continue to, to continue to validate and like what is the reward structure, and it all comes back to fees. And here's something that actually does add as far as incentivizing more fees for the network, which overall I think it's something that again, with all like I think there is nothing when it comes to an open permissionless, whenever there's a killer app that's discovered, there's no issue with it, right? Like it's only positives in my opinion. So I'm excited about it, man. I haven't really done anything with it yet, but I am excited about the conversation actually happening.
Oh yeah, exactly. And like one thing like a friend of mine was saying too is he's like, the big thing that he's having fun with right now is just being like an inscriber and like inscribing NFTs for people, because like there's not many people who know how to do it. So that could be like a potential, if you, lucrative opportunity for people right now who just want to inscribe things for collections and whatnot. And it's kind of funny too, because like it seems like it's kind of gives me like early Bitcoin vibes in a sense, because like I wasn't around during the early days of Bitcoin, but it sounds like there was a lot of trust involved with things like, for example, with these NFTs. It sounds like when you're doing an NFT auction, there's nothing automated about it. It's like you have to send your money to whoever's selling the NFT, and then they send you the NFT, and there's that trust aspect that they won't rug you, right? So it is like the Wild West right now. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's all going down.
No, that is interesting. Rooster, what do you think about all that?
I haven't looked into it too much myself. It all sounds interesting. I do not know any information to be able to input like any logical thoughts behind it, to be honest. So
Yeah, that's fair enough, man.
my time, yeah, I don't want to sound like an idiot, right? And my time has been mostly spent in ETH NFT spaces. So yeah.
No. It's fair, man. It is funny though. Every single predominantly ETH NFT space that I've seen though is also starting to center around this conversation. Even though the market itself really hasn't exploded too much right now, it's just a sexy new area. But if anything's going to stick out of sexy new areas that I've seen, I think that this is one that actually will. So it does make it a little bit more intriguing. And there is also part of me that whenever Dog Tag brings that up as, oh, it feels like early Bitcoin days, I'm like, should I just go ahead, crack down, spend a bit more time really understanding this now rather than waiting a year and being like, oh yeah, there was a lot of opportunity, but I sat on my ass.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of how I'm feeling right now too, right? Like I'm feeling the same way, and man, it's like it sucks because as soon as I found out about this, I was like ready to get just go deep into learning how to set up nodes and things, and then of course like my workload at my 9 to 5 like just picked up, so I'm like, oh fuck. So like now I'm just like on lunch breaks and stuff, I'm like scrambling to learn as much as I can, but like I think this weekend I might see if I can set up a node or something like that and just get the ball rolling and see where it goes. Because yeah, I don't want to be the guy that's like, yeah, my friends were all talking about Bitcoin and I didn't bother setting up a node or learning to mine or things like that, right? So I mean, I'm like, this is maybe a second chance to kind of jump on some momentum there, and I mean, I'm not really like looking for the big money aspect right now. I just kind of like want to like learn it, figure it out, get used to it, and then if future opportunities pop up, at least I'll have my finger on the pulse to jump in, right? You never know if the Wonky Stonks set up a Bitcoin derivative, right?
I mean, hey man, you never like I won't even lie. If there's ever anything that is actually appealing to me to launch a project on outside of ETH, it would be Bitcoin. Like not Sol, not Canto, not Aptos. Like it would be Bitcoin. I mean, that is the type of vibe that I resonate with. So
Boomer. No, I'm playing.
hey, you call it boomer, and it probably is, but I call it
Wendy,
having a taste for the finer things in life.
he's a connoisseur.
Yeah, connoisseur of high taste, high value, quality, brand names.
That you can trust.
That's it, man. That's it.
Kaleo,
So
didn't you
Bro,
know
sound
that
like you stole
Aptos?
that straight out of Warren Buffett's quotes.
Kaleo, didn't you know, dude, that Aptos is gonna revolutionize the entire world, man? We're gonna be interacting with NFTs on a daily basis because of Aptos. Come on, man.
I thought it was
bro,
Cardano.
everything is going to revolutionize. Like every single thing is going to revolutionize the world. There is nothing that is not going to revolutionize the world when it comes to crypto. Like, that's I am still waiting to go and like, buy weed with my weed coin that I bought back in 2018. I know that it is going to revolutionize the weed industry because they are unbanked. And because of that, because Bitcoin doesn't have weed in the name and because Ethereum doesn't have weed in the name, that they can't transact with Bitcoin or Ethereum. So they have to use weed coin or pot coin. So I've got a huge bag that's just been waiting for the last 5 years ready for that because it is going to revolutionize the game. Same with my Dentacoin. It's ready to completely revolutionize
You
the dental
gotta get
industry. I'm
your
still
dentist
waiting for when I can
appointment.
pay my yeah, I'm still waiting for when I can pay that next dent. Like I've got my kids orthodontics fund ready to go for a couple decades from now. Whenever I've got some kids and they're ready to get braces, I've got my Dentacoin ready for that. How many people? How many people that are boomers, Rooster, that we can say that? We are revolutionizing the world one useless shit coin at a time. Um, yeah, so every single thing claims that they are going to do something great to revolutionize the world.
I'm not gonna lie. Dinacoin sounds like an exact altcoin that a boomer would have.
Dude, do you guys have your Neo ready to use your smart home and your smart refrigerator and your smart microwave and your smart stove and your smart toilet and your smart bath? Come on, dude, you gotta load up on Neo, bro. The smart economy, the
Yeah,
revolution, the
Neo. I mean,
revolution.
AntShares, Neo, the smart economy. Like, dude, all the languages that can be programmed in that. Like, forget about that cruddy solidity stuff. Forget about Neo. You can literally write and develop in any language that you want. So it is so bullish. It's it and ICX. I mean, you've got the Ethereum of China and the Ethereum of South Korea. I mean, man, still just waiting for those to do their thing. But I was told about 5 years ago that they would. So I still believe, right? Like when somebody tells me something, they've got no reason to lie to me for their own benefit whenever it comes to anything in crypto or Web3. So there are a lot of checks that I am waiting to cash right now.
Bro, yeah, this guy's in my
See, it's
DMs
coming.
about to give me a Bored Ape for my Super Guppy. So yeah, just don't fade the generosity. I'm playing.
Well, I had one that was offering, I heard that there's somebody out there, Rooster, that is offering 10 super guppies for every one that you give them, but you just have to let them hold it for just a little bit.
Yeah, it seems fair, right?
I have Super Guppies
I
under the
love that
FOMO
name,
chart
dude.
collection. You get 10 FOMO chart
Guppy.
Super Guppies.
Guppy.
Speaking of the FOMO chart collection, the Lakers are still getting their ass kicked right now. And I mean, they're only down by 8. There's 5 minutes left. And I love to see it. I didn't realize how much I hated everything about what just happened until I witnessed it. I thought it was going to be great. I like watching records and I like watching things that I think inspire greatness. But that was just embarrassing. And I now hate it. I hate everything about it.
Oh yeah, like man, there's just been so many times where people have celebrated so early. Like, what was that Super Bowl with the Patriots? Like, it was like they were down bad, like just
28 to
after
3.
the
Oh,
halftime. Yeah, and then they totally come
you're
back
thinking of
and just
Matt
crush
Ryan,
it.
maybe.
I was like, oh my god, okay, never like celebrate early ever again. Like,
Well, but I mean, even worse than that, honestly, Reese. Well, I'd say worse than that. You can't be worse than that considering it was the Super Bowl. But I mean, the whole Chargers Jaguars game was pretty dang bad recently. So yeah, never count your chickens before the eggs hatch.
So I got a
Might be.
question that is kind of off the off topic, but back on topic. With the open edition has been the obvious meta over like the past 2 weeks, right? And it's gotten to the point where every single thing on IC tools is some type of open edition derivative. I'm just starting to see it fade away. I was feeling like the open edition meta has been getting toppy for like 3 days. I said something about it getting toppy, and then people tweeted about it, and then that was like, all right, so it's I'm like 60% sure it's getting toppy. People called the feet picks top as well, and then like a couple hours after that, then Wab tweets something about some Seals open edition, and I was like, okay, I'm like 99% sure it's getting toppy now. So I'm curious what your thoughts on what's gonna be the next meta to replace the open edition, because I feel like they're starting to fade away.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the open edition meta, I've said my piece about it before, right? Where I think that there can be some solid open editions, but I think as a whole, it just creates a really easy vehicle for more people to introduce trash out there because the rule of thumb that you should just take in general, not just with NFTs, but with just about anything in life, is like at least 90% of what is going to be published and put out there is probably going to be trash. You could probably up that to maybe 95, 98 even percent, 99%. I don't know. Probably even 99 out of 100 of these are going to be pure trash. And what open editions do is they just allow a lot, they facilitate the minting process of a lot more, a lot quicker. So what that means is that, hey, there could be more winners that do continue to emerge from this, but there will be so many losers in the process that it does probably fatigue the meta. So as far as what the next meta is, I don't know, man. I mean, it could be the Bitcoin ordinal stuff. Um, and, you know, I think what Dogtag said, some type of ETH integration with ordinals is a really interesting concept. So maybe something with that. But here's the issue right now that I'm seeing as far as some of that stuff being the next meta. What makes something a meta? What makes something a meta is being able to go viral quickly, getting people to talk about it, and being able to replicate that idea and process and roll it out. So I don't know for sure if that would be considered the next meta or not. I'm not really sure right now, man. I'm not sure what it rotates to after open editions, but I mean, I don't think open editions are going to go away. It's just too easy for people to be able to release stuff out there. And again, you know, doesn't mean everything's going to be trash. Probably is going to be the same proportion as other types of NFT projects. It just happens on a bigger scale.
Bro, they can never just like let you have, like something nice. Like as soon as one thing gains attraction, then you got like 1,500 different people like just cranking out useless like piece of shit derivatives of it and just like completely burn it out. It's like when there's like a catchphrase that comes on and then like everybody like keeps saying it over and over again and there's a new song and like the radio plays it 45 times an hour, right? Like, and it just burns out so quickly. Like, couldn't have, just a couple nice things with Jack's open editions. No, we had to have 15,000 other projects come and just flood the market and then completely oversaturate it and burn you out.
Oh, Rooster, man, you're totally nailing it there. Like even in like the music industry, like I used to make music, and it was kind of like around the time when like Skrillex was coming out, and it felt like every week there was some new meta. Like, oh, now it's not trance music, it's club music that like has like this bongo drums or whatever, right? And it's like okay, and then next thing you know, it's like oh now there's like the Skrillex sounds and all that. So you could never just have something nice where it's like I like this sound, right? Because you always had to be chasing some trend or some fad or whatever, some meta, and it feels the same kind of way here, like in the NFT space, right? But it's kind of funny because I launched my dog tag collection in October 2021, and like I've just been like I've just had an open mint the whole time. I didn't like people kept coming up and saying, "Oh, now you got to do a free mint. Oh, now you got to do additions. You got to do this and that." I just kept it real, right? And I find that doing that has actually been pretty cool because people come back to me and I get fairly consistent mints, and people are like, "Oh, cool! Your metadata updated immediately. I was able to buy an NFT. There's a pseudo swap liquidity pool that I can like return it to and get my money back if I want." So it's like like I feel like if you sit back, you can be like a rock in the river while everyone's flowing past you with all these fads and this meta. And at the end of the day, people come back to the stuff that's like Wonky Stonks, right? You guys aren't doing anything crazy or wild. You're just vibing out, right? And people will come back to that when they get bored of like sitting in spaces talking like gremlins or whatever they do, right? Like the real stuff I think will last. And I do think those ordinal things are a cool idea, but like I agree with what Kaleo said, is that it's almost too complex for most people to get into that I don't think it could maybe be the next meta, right? So maybe the next meta is just people go back to something that's like real, right? That's that's
Well, and it
not
could be a
signed,
niche meta,
right?
right? Like, I think it will be a niche meta. But as far as, what you're seeing with the mainstream popularity of the open editions, I don't think it will be, right? Like, not to say that there won't be lasting value there. I definitely think there will be some incredible lasting value, just a little bit more of a niche community. I think that, what y'all are saying, though, the real next meta, I think, is rotation back to quality still. right now the open editions have extended this period of kind of the speculative bet that we saw there with some of the really shitty NFTs earlier this month or earlier last month. Um, and I really think the next rotation is back to the quality names again. So it's that simple. Right now, everybody is still just trying to chase after whatever the next big checks or, is going to be. And eventually people are just going to be burned out of it. And where do they rotate back to after they're burned out? They rotate back to quality.
Yeah, I think.
Dude, I love that. That's the perfect
Hey
way to
guys,
say
I'm
it.
gonna go now. Thank you all. Thank you all for the good conversation. Thank you,
Yeah, take
Khalil.
it
Thank
easy,
you,
man.
Rooster.
Later,
Thank you,
man.
Dog Tag. I'll see you guys.
Hey King, it was a pleasure, man. Like it was really cool hanging out with you and meeting you, and just threw you a follow, man.
No problem. I'll follow. Wait, what profile do I follow? Do I follow you, Dog Tag, or Mr. E? I get confused.
Follow both just in case, because Twitter loves to like shut my accounts down for no reason, and
Yeah,
like I
just follow.
always I have to start up from scratch. So at least it's good to have a
Yeah,
backup that I can be like, okay, these are the guys I know, right?
yeah.
It was a bitch trying to find everybody. So yeah,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
appreciate
I
you.
just followed you back, man. Kaleo, if you host a space over the weekend, I'll probably join it. So I'll see you guys in a couple of days if you guys host one. Peace out. Good night. God bless you.
Later, man.
All right, man. Take it
Peace out,
easy.
man.
Thanks for joining.
Yo, and Kaleo, yeah, and I agree that you said that too because I've just been recently my winning strategy has been to follow my like first instinct, right, and then just manage my bets, and then scale out accordingly, and it's been fairly decently profitable. So I've just been like kind of trying to pay attention to what my first instincts were, and my first instinct right now in the market is that it's gotten to the point where the OE meta is getting exhausting, and like there's not really anything like shiny and new coming out. Like the OE meta was shiny and new, but people rubbed it so much that it's dull now. So I think people
Mm-hmm.
are still going to try and chase the next one. They're going to get burned, while smart money is rotating back into legitimate projects. And speaking of which, I just bought another stonk that I saw drop on the floor like a day or two ago. A nice icy blue one. I don't know if you saw that one. But yeah, I'm like stonk shopping
Oh yeah,
again
man.
right
I
now.
definitely did.
Yeah, stonk shopping again right now. Like, and personally, I'm not trying to look for the next OE, right? The next quick flip at this current moment. I don't think that there is enough gas in the market to make another thing pump like the OEs were pumping at this point in time. So yeah, I think you see the solid rise of blue chips and high conviction plays continue to rise up, and then you'll see a little bit of profit taken on those, and there might be some type of new rotation coming in.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's something that we'll definitely continue to be on the lookout for. And yeah, I like those are my two big things that I'm really watching right now are the trend as far as like what you're talking about of exhaustion, whether we are going to reach that relative exhaustion for OEs and watch that rotation back to quality continue, which still a big believer that we're going to see that. And then I'm still really curious on the ordinal side of things, how that does continue to develop, progress, its effect on BTC, but also its effect on NFTs and the broader marketplace as a whole. So, gents, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's space. Really appreciate y'all for joining, and it's been a solid hour getting back up here. Nick, I'm sorry that I got to do it right as you're getting in the room, man. Didn't want to do that to you.
Oh man, it's been such a pleasure being up here. I really appreciate like all y'all, like the listeners, the speakers, and I want to give a special shout out to Andy G down there because like that guy's like the
Yes.
realist. I love that guy, and every morning he's representing the Wonkies.
Oh yeah, Andy is a real one, man. Definitely is. A lot of real ones in the room. So if your name wasn't shouted out, trust me, I see you. But yeah, the Wonky Stonks are inevitable. Appreciate y'all rolling out, and we will see you guys probably tomorrow.
All right, later,
Have
Take
a
it
guys.
great
easy.
evening, y'all.